Good morning, Hoppers. This is Mrs. Sutliff with your writing lesson for the day. Hoppers, usually I talk for a moment at the beginning of every writing video to help you think back on what we've been doing, and I give you your learning targets so that you know what's coming next. Today, I'm going to ask you to think about what we're going to do next. Instead of me just telling you what your learning targets are, I want you to think back over the writing and the planning that we've been doing and the work we've been doing and reading and maybe what I said yesterday or last writing lesson. And I want you to think for yourself. What do you think you're going to be doing today? What do you figure I'll be asking you to tackle and accomplish with your writing? And I want you to really think about how you could connect that to how we researched and we know what our websites are that we're using as resources for our writing essay, or no, they're not essays, they're information. So that would be a report or an article. Okay, really think about it for a second. What do you think we'll do today? Okay, here are the learning targets you've been waiting for. Today, I can choose different text structures. For each section is going to have a different text structure to put in your writing. And then also, I can take notes and research my topic using the graphic organizers that match the structures that I picked for each of my sections. Okay, I'll show you what I mean. So really, today, writers, what I want to teach you is that writers, especially writers of information text like the reports or the articles that we're writing, they take time to think over the structure. Okay, so that's why I showed you this. The writing process, we're pre-writing, but we're also getting ready to write, and we're thinking about our organization too with our structure. Okay, you need to take time to think that over so that your writing can be as detailed as possible and that it will make sense as an entire report when you're all done. Here are some steps that we're going to use to kind of go through this process, and if this looks really helpful to you, I want you to make sure you go back to this part in the video and you pause it right here so you can really see step by step what we're doing. Okay, so yesterday we thought about a topic. Actually, we've been doing that for a couple days now, but we maybe didn't do this yet. Thinking of the parts of the topic that you're going to write about and having subtopics or having headings and then subheadings, or titles and then subtitles. I want you to have many different sections, okay? Your resources can really help with this. So we should have some websites that we're planning to read to help us with our research, and those websites might have headings and subheadings. That could help you come up with sections for your writing too, okay? After you think about your topic and you've got some section ideas in mind, maybe like some subheadings, I want you to jump down to step 2, thinking about a text structure for each part. Okay? And if you're having trouble thinking of a text structure, just remember, if you can't think of another text structure, every article you read is description, because they're all teaching us details about the topics. Every single report that you read is description. It's describing that topic to you. So you can always just fall back on description if you can't think of another text structure. But I challenge you to come up with at least a couple so you can get some variety in your writing, okay? Some of you might be here by the end of the lesson today, or maybe even halfway through the workshop today. You might be ready to take notes on each part. I'm ready right now to start taking notes. So I'm going to start showing you how to do that during reading lessons, but you might not quite be ready. And if that's how you're sitting, then that's okay. You can just spend some time maybe looking for some more websites to really cover all of the subheadings or the subtopics you want to write about. But really just make sure that tomorrow you are ready to start taking notes, okay? You really need to get through step 1 and step 2 today. We may, after we get our notebooks ready, be ready to research, okay? Ooh, actually, I'd really like for everybody to be done with step 3 too. You at least need to get your notebook ready. just getting ready. Maybe you need to hold off a little bit on actually doing the research and doing the stopping and jotting. But you need to at least have your notebook ready, okay, so that you don't get behind. I'm going to show you the different graphic organizers today that we can use for stops and jots. And all of these things will, of course, help us get ready to teach about your topic, which is the purpose of information writing. You're going to be teaching us. Be prepared to share your project with the class, and if you want to, you can do some practicing of your teaching about your topic by talking with your writing partner about what you plan to teach us. Rehearse for that writing that you're going to do. All right, so these are the steps. Please make sure that you come back to this part in the video if you're a little confused about, oh, what am I supposed to be doing? Okay, don't sit there and go, oh, what did Mrs. Sutliff tell me to do? Come back to this part in the video and look at your steps. All right? Let's move on then. We'll take a look at how I got my notebook ready. I am on step 3 right now. I already got my notebook ready, and I'm just about ready to move on to step 4. So I will start doing that during the reading lessons starting tomorrow. All right? All right, let's talk about graphic organizers for the different text structures. There's 6 here, as you can see. The only one that I don't think I have is persuasive, which we're not working on right now because we're not writing essays. We're writing reports. All right. So if you have compare and contrast, that means that you're thinking about how things are alike and different. Sequence is step by step. So might be steps in order. First you do this, then you do this. Might sound like an how to do this type text. Cause and effect is where you have something that happened right here. The effect is whatever happened, and then the causes that led up to that effect. Okay, descriptive is pretty easy. I've just got a word web there for descriptive. I thought that would be a good one for you guys to use. Chronology or chronological is where we bring in the timeline. So that's events in order, maybe history timelines, right? And then the last one I have here is problem and solution. And that just looks like here's the problem and here is my solution to the problem. Okay, cause and effect and problem and solution can get confused because they're rather similar. So when you're trying to decide, should I write cause and effect or should I write problem and solution, make sure that you have a solution to the problem. If you don't have a solution to the problem, then you're actually writing about the cause and effect. The problem becomes one of the, maybe it could be the effect or maybe it could be a cause. All right. So think about that. That's just a little tidbit for you there. Don't get too distracted by that though. Really, I just want you to know what the graphic organizers look like for the different text structures you will be using to get your notebook ready today. Hopefully you're starting to imagine the kind of writing that you are going to be doing during this unit. Okay, there's lots of different options you have. I'm just going to go through the topics that I'm doing and explain why the graphic organizer that I picked matches each one. This is a reminder from what I did yesterday during my reading lesson. However, it's okay to repeat myself here. So, the geography of Japan was the first section in my book. This is where I came up with the idea. Looking at my resources, I thought, oh, I should talk about the geography of Japan because there was this map in my resource and I could see it was trying to teach me about what Japan looks like and where it's located. And that just seemed like it was describing Japan to me. So, hence descriptive. Okay, just a simple web. I would put Japan in the middle, and then I would start listing all of the different descriptions that I learned from the book in my little web here. Stop and think right now. Can you think of at least one section for your topic that could be descriptive? Pause this video right now, get out your writing notebook, and give yourself a heading like I have, and maybe draw yourself a little web so that you can remember, oh yeah, I was going to put all of my little details on the outside in my web. Okay, do that right now. Pause and do that. Okay, this one was really obvious to me. The next one that I came up with was, what would it be like to live in Japan, and how would that be different than living in America? So I jumped straight to compare and contrast for that one. And I know compare and contrast might seem tricky, but I bet if you really think about it, you could come up with a compare and contrast section for your topic. Let's see. If you are researching an animal, you could compare your animal to another animal that's very similar but has some key differences that could help you to teach your readers, I should say, how they're really actually not that similar. They're more different than they are similar. Okay, so the thing I'm thinking of is maybe you're doing deer and you want to compare deer to another herbivore like a horse. Okay, just for example. Or it could be like how I compared frogs and toads. All right. If you're not doing an animal and you're doing a place, that one would be really super easy. Just compare it to what it's like to live where you live. Okay, are there lots of differences, or are there mostly similarities? And if it's another country, that would definitely be easier to find differences. Okay. Okay, I can go on and on and on with this one. If you're doing a sport, you can compare this sport to another sport. Okay, to really show like how are the rules slightly different and still somewhat the same as this other game, or what's the equipment like, or things like that. Okay, so that's easy. This one should be easy. You should be able to pause this video right now and come up with some heading for a page in your notebook where you will do a compare and contrast. Think about your topic and compare it to something else. Okay. Depending on your topic, you might ask me for a little help with this one. Okay, so if you feel stuck, don't be afraid to ask me about this. All right, let's pause right now and think of one. All right, I did earthquakes in Japan for my cause and effect. The effect might actually not be as clear with this one, but the idea is that I want to talk about what happens in Japan when there's all these earthquakes. Okay. And they kind of have a sort of a problem and solution type situation with earthquakes, in that they're doing some things to kind of counteract the fact that they do have earthquakes. And that's just something that I already know. But I thought that cause and effect would be a little bit of a better fit here. Like, what causes earthquakes step by step by step? Okay. Or maybe after you have the earthquake, what sorts of disasters does it cause within the country too? So I'll play with that one. I'll be a little creative. I might end up needing to rethink what I was planning to do with cause and effect, but I think that's a really good start. And I'd like for you to really try and think about cause and effect too. Can you think of a way to write about something within your topic where you're thinking of this thing that happened and, okay, what caused it? Or maybe this problem that they have, and why did this problem happen? Okay. You don't have to have an idea for a topic for all of these text structures, but I strongly encourage you to really take some time to think about each one, because you might be surprised at how much more detail you can put into your report when you put the spin on it, when you try and think of it from this other angle. Okay, so pause and think of a cause and effect. Just really quick brainstorm. Just jot it down. It may or may not work out, but you can try it. All right? Okay. I thought about writing about the climates of Japan, and at first I thought I could compare the climates of Japan to the climates of where I live. But then I actually thought, I already have a compare and contrast, and it's a really good one, and I could probably think of lots of different things to compare and contrast about Japan that I'd probably end up running out of time, actually, if I wrote about all of them. So I thought maybe I should do sequence. And I thought, hey, that might fit good with climates, because I could talk about how the seasons change, and it's this step-by-step kind of process. You might have a sequence or a step-by-step process with your topic that's completely different than climates. Like, it could be like how you fill in the blank, the steps to do this thing or to make this thing. Okay, so think about it. You might be surprised at the cool ideas you come up with if you try and think of a sequence topic or subtopic for your topic. So pause and think about sequence real quick. Okay, we are almost done. Problem and solution, the one that I came up with was how crowded the cities are. And again, I was using my resources to help me come up with ideas. With this one, I was just flipping through the book and I saw this heading that said crowded cities. And I was like, wow, that sounds like a problem. They would really need to find a solution to that problem so that they don't have issues with pollution and people who don't have anywhere to live. And I was like, wow, I really hope there is a solution to that. So I'm going to write about crowded cities and hope that there's a problem and solution type structure to this section. So we'll see. We'll see how that works out. But right now it's just a brainstorm. It's just a plan. You might change your plan later, and that's okay. Just keep in mind that I am challenging you to come up with as many different sections as possible, and I'd like each section to have a different structure, okay? So pause and think about maybe there could be a problem and solution type structure for your topic. This one might be a really good one depending on your topic. Okay. The last subheading or subsection for my topics that I came up with was just doing a brief history of Japan. Hopefully it'll be brief because I could write about Japan and make that my whole entire report about Japan if I'm not careful. But that's a chronological structure, and so I'd use a timeline kind of graphic organizer to take notes on that one. The history of whatever your topic is might be a great idea for your report too. So just think about that. Could you do the history of basketball, or could you do the history of this place? Like maybe you're doing a state, okay? Really think about that carefully. Could you do a timeline? Pause and make sure you have at least, at this point, I would like you to have 3 sections at least. And please make sure that each one is a different text structure. I'm going to give you your step-by-step directions here in a second. And please remember that you can also go back and look at the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps that I was talking about at the beginning of the video. Okay, here are your steps. Please make sure you pause and look at them carefully, and that you make sure you're doing your best to follow them. And a few of you might even be ready to take notes using that graphic organizer today. But like I said, keep in mind I am going to start doing this during reading lessons so you can see how these different graphic organizers help me capture the information when I stop and jot, okay? Well, so first I'd like you to get out your blue booklet and maybe go onto the OneDrive. That's probably where you have your websites that you're going to be looking at. If you have your resources out, it really is going to help you plan the different subsections that you could have in your writing. Okay, so do that. Open to page 44 and 45 so you have the text structures right in front of you. Then you're going to plan the sections for your writing. For each section, I want you to choose a different text structure. All right, I don't want you to do 3 descriptive, okay? You're in 4th grade now. You need to be able to use what I'm teaching you in reading to help you make your writing more interesting, okay? It also helps you with organization and with making sure you're using text features and all of that stuff to make your writing really great. So make sure you have different text structures. Get your notebook ready. Give yourself a title for each page. You're going to have a subtitle, really, is what it is. And give yourself that graphic organizer, or at least write down what text structure you're going to do for each of those subtitles. Okay? Those are your directions. Pause now here so that you can see them. Make sure you're doing these steps during the whole writing process. And if you are ready to actually start taking notes, feel free to dive right in. Also, if you wanted, you could start writing on some of your pages what you already know about your topic, okay? Before you even do any research. If you already know some stuff, write it down. Put it in the section that makes the most sense, okay? And ooh, this is really important. At some point today, if you're sitting there and you have nothing to do, instead of wasting time, you could get out that blue bookmark I gave you, check out the goal that we made together, that I helped you make for one of the 3 sections of writing that you really need to work on, and make a mental note to focus on that goal while you are writing. All right. Maybe check out that checklist in the back of your purple booklet to help you with that. Okay. There was a lot in this video. Please try and be productive, and happy writing.